Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in my hot garage on a Wednesday night, late in the evening, and we have a lot to talk about. We need to talk about first the Sig P320 debacle, especially in relation to the United States Air Force and what appears to be another uncommanded discharge that unfortunately took the life of an airman. I also want to answer a viewer question that kind of is related to the negligent discharges of the P320. And then I have a couple of pistols on the workbench that are going into queue. So this is kind of an upcoming projects video as well. So let's talk about the Sig P320 first. Now, I heard somebody jokingly say, I guess it's kind of not paraphrasing, but parodying Sig's crazy post a few weeks ago on social media that says it ends today. And somebody said it NDs today, an ND, negligent discharge. Because unfortunately, we have a story that I guess broke 2 or 3 days ago where an airman and the Air Force was killed by his own M18 while it was still in the holster. And the story that I'm getting, and I hope that more evidence and more information comes out regarding the incident, but all reports say he took his M18, which was still in the holster, off of his belt, laid it onto a table. The gun had an uncommanded discharge and it shot him in the chest and he died. Okay? Now, obviously, this is a huge problem. And we can go into all the talks about the problems with the P320, what the issues are. I mean, we have talked about this ad nauseum, and my thoughts on what SIG needs to do. They need to accept responsibility or redesign the gun, because right now there's not going to be any possible scenario where they come out of this and the P320 is still in production, it stays as is, and they still have all their contracts. That's not going to happen. But a general for the Air Force has come out and issued an order that all M18s need to be taken out of service and no longer carried until this investigation completes. And I think that's a really, really smart move. And it's only going downhill for SIG, because SIG, as I mentioned in one of my last videos, is between a rock and a hard place. If they recall the pistols and say, hey, there's something wrong with them, that means everybody that has had an uncommanded discharge or an issue with them, or in this case, someone has passed away, well, they're going to be held financially responsible. And they also have to think about, well, if we recall all these and we have nothing to replace them with, well, they're going to be out a lot of money. And financially, it could break them. Some people are putting a lot of this at the feet of the CEO of SIG, Cohen. Forgot his first name at the moment. But he is also the former CEO of Kimber. And a lot of people think he kind of ran that company into the ground. So the way that I look at it is there's no win for SIG. And I think this actually might be the end for them, because there is no way out. And they've dug their own grave. And even if, and there's my dogs again, you know, they always got to bark, get in every one of these videos. They kind of dug their own grave, because even if there was nothing wrong with the P320, the M17 or the M18, and all of the tests, all of the investigations say, hey, they are not liable, their reputation is now tarnished. You're going to have people that will never buy a SIG again because they can't trust them. And remember, perception is reality. So even if you are found innocent of a crime, if the media had for a long time reported on you committing that crime, well, you're forever never going to be trusted. But also, there are people that will never buy a SIG again because, well, they created this product that now has taken an airman's life and had, you know, uncommanded discharges, and I don't know. I just don't see a winning scenario for SIG. And even one of the things people are not talking about is all of the reports of the soldiers that are testing the XM7 rifle and how that is not going as well. Now, they're not having safety issues with that gun and that rifle, but they are having issues with the amount of ammo soldiers can carry, the price of that gun, the high pressure issues with the cartridge. You know, in some ways, I've said this in videos in the past, SIG has been making guns people have wanted, but people don't realize the guns that they think they want aren't the guns they really should have. Like, you know, everyone says, I hate Glocks. Well, SIG made a gun that addressed every issue all of the Glock haters hate and made a gun that is probably unsafe. And then when it comes to the U.S. military, they wanted this stupid 277 Fury, or what is it, 6.5 by 51 millimeter, I think it is. And I understand it's for defeating body armor at certain distances, but now the rifle is heavy. Parts wear out because of the high pressures. Just lots of problems. Just lots of problems all over the place. And SIG created these guns. Maybe they should not have, you know, tried to go after these contracts because they should have said, what you guys want is not feasible and it's not going to work out for you in the end. But hey, I am not a gun designer. I'm just an average gun guy, and I'm looking at this from the outside. But I think it's over for SIG. I really do. And I feel terrible because in the past, SIG has made some amazing guns. I think the P226, the P220, the P229, 228, 227, all those are amazing guns. They've made some great rifles, but I'm telling you that I think it's over for them. I just don't see how this gets fixed. And the longer they go before they try to fix it the right way, the worse it's going to be on them. So I don't know what else to say. I honestly think this is going to be the decline of SIG, especially if the Air Force drops the SIGs. What are they going to go to? Are they going to go to Glock? Are they going to go back to the Beretta? No idea. It's pretty obvious that when the military adopted the M17, they should have gone either with the Glock or they should have gone with the Beretta M9A4 or A3 and just upgraded the guns they already had in service because they were time tested and proven, and the Glocks just work, okay? Whether or not you like them or hate them, they work. And who knows, maybe the timing of this new Glock Gen 6 that's supposed to be coming out that's very modular is going to be the new handgun, you know, and the military might go in a different direction just like they went with the M14. It was the shortest serving military rifle in history. Maybe the M17 and the M18 will be the shortest pistols ever. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I did find it interesting that Glock had an advertisement recently where they just had a picture of a Glock, I think it was like a Gen 5 pistol, just like sitting on a table, and it said Glock, durable, reliable, and then went ... safe. And I was like, I knew exactly what they were talking about when it came to that. I was like, oh, dang. And that was actually a pretty powerful advertisement to me, because it's like, yeah, whether or not the P320 is safe or not, man, that it is tarnished, but now there are just too many issues. Now, people are always going to have negligent discharges, use guns in wrong ways. I mean, Glocks have been used, Colts, whatever, Smith & Wessons. But with the sheer numbers of the issues we're having with the Sig P320, it's, I hate to say it, and I like Sig. I showed you all the Sig P320s I have, and M17s and M18s. I think it's over for them. I think it's over. I mean, their only saving grace is to admit fault and just take it on the chin. But I don't think they're going to, because I think they've dug the hole too deep. So there you go. All right, so that's my thoughts on the Sig P320 debacle at the moment. And, of course, our hearts go out to the airman who lost his life. Oh, the only thing about that story, for me, that doesn't make any sense, and I'm curious what some of you guys think, and no one's talked about this in any other video. The story is he took the gun in the holster off of his belt, laid it on the table. Now, for me, I'm trying to think if I have any holsters here. Do I? No, I don't think I do. No, I think I took everything inside. But if I had a holster out here, I would want to demonstrate with a gun. So normally when I take a gun off my hip and it's in a holster, let's just say here I have this Phoenix Trinity 2011, which I just filmed the range report on. Let's just say I unholster this and I put it on the table. Let's just pretend it's in a holster. The way that I put a gun on a holster is I take it off my hip, my belt, whatever. I lay it down like this because even though it's in a holster, I still follow the rules of gun safety. I never point the gun at anything I don't want to destroy or kill. So if I was doing that, I put it down here. It's not pointed at me. So even if the gun went off, which it won't, but if it did, it would right now just kind of shoot my workbench. How in the world or why did he take the gun off? Of course, I'm not going to do it with a real gun, but turn my hand's a gun here. Take the gun off of his belt and lay it in a way where it's pointing at him. That doesn't make any sense. To me, that's not a natural thing to do, is to take the gun off and put it where it points towards you. And then, of course, it had the uncommanded discharge. That's the only thing about the story that I want more information on. Because to me, that's just not a natural motion. I never find myself looking or holding a gun in a holster and laying it down where it faces me. It naturally wants to point away from me. That's the one thing. Now, if the story was somebody else unholstered it, put it on a table, and it was pointing in a different direction, and then it went off and shot somebody, that would be different. But to shoot the person it was issued to while it was on the table pointing at them, I'm not saying it didn't happen. It just doesn't seem as plausible to me. So anyway, want to talk about that. All right, so now let's talk about a viewer question. And the question was in my last video, have I ever had a negligent discharge? And I thought that would be a great question considering we're talking about the P320 today. And so the answer is no, not in the traditional sense. Now, I have had a couple of situations that happened at the range, but I wouldn't call them negligent discharges because you will occasionally have a gun that has a very light trigger. Like, for example, there have been some 2011s that I have reviewed in the past that had like under a 1.5 pound trigger where the gun was pointed down range, I was shooting, and I was trying to stage the trigger, and it went off when I didn't want it to. But that's not really a negligent discharge. The gun was pointed in a safe direction, and I was at the range. But it surprised me because the trigger was just way too light. So that really doesn't count as a negligent discharge. The other instance was, and this is years and years ago, I was at an outdoor range, and we had a range safety officer. It's one of those ranges where the range will go cold, you know, so everyone has to lock the actions open, put a chamber flag in, the range officer goes down, make sure all weapons are clear, then you can go out and change your targets. And I had just gotten to the range, and the range went cold, and I already had my target out, but I had been doing some other stuff, setting everything up. So when it went cold, I hadn't really shot anything yet, but I had everything ready to go. And so while the range was cold, I was sitting there talking to I can't remember who it was, like my buddy, or maybe I was talking to somebody else there at the range or the range safety officer or whatever. Just kind of chit-chatting for a while. Everyone comes back in from changing out their targets, and the range safety officer says, okay, the line is hot, or the range is hot. And so I guess because I was just kind of sitting there talking for a while, I wasn't thinking, I went up to I remember it was a Glock 36, and I loaded it and I fired at the target on the range. But I realized I had forgotten to put on my hearing protection. Yeah, so is that a negligent discharge? No, but it's just because I was sitting there talking, and I just got distracted by just talking to all these people. I walked up when the range went hot. You know, I went there, and picked up my thing, looked at, loaded a magazine, racked the slide, pointed it to the target, and boom. And as soon as I did that, I realized, oh, that sucks, because it was so loud. Yeah. So I had to calmly just put the gun down, go get my hearing protection, and put it on. So are those negligent discharges? No, but that's my story. I guess the closest thing I've ever had to one. Because I'm always as careful as I possibly can, because weapons like this, of course, need to be treated with respect. And even when I have things lying here on the table, I never even point them towards me. And of course, you guys might not see it, but people go, you need to safety check that gun. But guys, I'm always safety checking the guns that I'm handling constantly. And I'm the only one here in the garage. So I don't have to worry about it. But I still follow the rules of gun safety. All right, so now let's go to the upcoming projects. I saw my friend Michael today, and he had a couple of cool things for me. A couple of cool things. So one, I know he has been trying to get for a while. I know, this looks like a Browning case. It's actually not. Oh, wait, that's not it. It's this one. The old Sig case. Now, yes, this is a Sig, but it's one of the old P series pistols like the P226. Now, this is actually one that I have reviewed in the past. So this is a P226 that, hold on a second here. Oh, it already has the different magazine in it. But this is not, hold on a second here. Got it. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'll talk about why that was an issue there a second ago. So here it is. It's a Cerakoted P226 chambered in 9mm, but that's not the gun I'm going to review. Well, it is the gun I'm going to review, but not in this configuration. Because you might notice, this is why I was having an issue there, the magazines look a lot different, because he was able to get one of the kind of unobtainium, these things are hard to get, the 22 caliber conversion for it. So I'm going to do a product review, a range report product review on this. So it's just the slide, which will convert a P226 to chamber 22 long rifle. So that's it right there. Everything is included with it. And he also had to pick up a few extra magazines. So he had popped in one of the 22 long rifle magazines into the gun. And that's why I was like, wait a second, slide's not closing right. So I haven't even tried to put this thing onto this frame. So let's see here. All right, so there's the slide. I think it's not. Oh, sorry. 357 Sig. Totally forgot. 357 Sig on this guy. And here is the slide. Now, he says he's fired it and it works. So it's actually pretty nice quality. It feels good. It's lighter than the standard slide. And there it is. So now, this gun's chambered in 22 long rifle. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, the P-Series pistol is, the P226 is one of the best pistols ever. So, all right, so that mag works. Okay, it locks open like it should. And, well, I guess the way it works is if there was a round in the magazine, it would close. But I guess I can't do the slide stop on it just because it's a conversion, but it will work that way. And the decocker will work. So this is going to have a little bit of a learning curve to it. But yeah, we're going to do the 22 long rifle conversion for the P226, but an actual Sig Sauer made one. So that's the first thing. And then next up is a pistol I don't know anything about. So if you know anything about this gun, let me know. This is the one in the Browning case, but it's not a Browning. It is, okay, I have an extra magazine for it as well. This is the Sterling model, I believe it's the 302. Well, it says Sterling 22 LR Auto. But on the magazine he bought, it says the Sterling 302 22 long rifle. So this is one of those little tiny pocket pistols. Yeah, it reminds me so much of the Jennings 25. So it actually feels pretty good quality compared to those little Saturday night specials. So I don't know anything about this company. So do any of you guys know anything about it? So this is going to be a pocket 22 long rifle pistol. Seems to be well made, seems to be nicer than the Jennings. It looks like it probably comes apart the same way, but the metal it's made of is a lot nicer. It appears that it does not lock open on an empty magazine. Ooh, that trigger is heavy. Oh my gosh. Now, Michael was telling me that this was part of a family collection that I believe he inherited. So it says Sterling Arms, Lockport, New York. So, all right. Woo, that is a heavy trigger, and actually it resets pretty good. Wow, okay. And I don't want to dry fire it too much, but I did want to feel that. So there you go. That's it. So I don't know anything about this guy, so I'm going to need to do some research on it. So let me know if you guys know anything about the Sterling 22 LR Auto, maybe known as the Model 302, I guess. So there you go. So let me know what you know in the comments section below. And do you guys think it's over for Sig? Because I think it is. I think it is. Because I don't think that the big brains in the C-suite at Sig are going to realize, okay, we screwed up and we have to admit we screwed up. Because if they don't do that, it's over for them. No one's ever going to buy a Sig because they're not going to trust them, or they're going to hate Sig and blame them for all the problems. I think it's over. I think it's over for them. So let me know. So if you watch to the end of this video and want to do the word of the day to let me know you watched to the end, the word of the day is going to be end. End is the word of the day because I think it ends for Sig. They said it ended a while ago, but not for the same reasons. But there you go. It ends today. It ends today. So let me know your thoughts on anything I talked about in the comment section below. Thanks for joining me in the Hot Garage. And as always, thanks for watching.